We couldn't have brought in two better guys who are out there covering games and events at the high school level every day. Chris Ellsbury, working down at the Connecticut Post and Fairfield, and Sean Patrick Boley, Game Time Connecticut and New Haven Register. And you guys are all part of the powerhouse, the big machine that is the Hearst Connecticut news group and covering sports.
I thought you were going to say empire.
I may as well. It's an empire. All right, let's start with some of the big stories. And we have limited time, so we got to get in and out quickly. To me, perhaps the biggest story, the story that really, the transgender issue on the track. Just as we look back on it, and it'll probably continue to be a big story,
yeah.
but the headlines that it made and just the issue that is just, it's really tough to come to any sort of conclusion on this one.
Yeah, well, we've tried, and the two columns that our columnist Jeff Jacobs wrote for us really didn't get to any answers. I mean, but there is some very, I don't want to say that, but there's been some very harsh discourse about the whole thing. I mean, we posted a video from the two girls track races, that the records that fell on it. We posted one of these videos on Twitter, and the responses just went like viral. It went nuts. A lot of people weighing in on this isn't fair to the girls who are racing. They were congratulating the third place winner because there were two in the race. So it's a very contentious issue. A lot of coaches are starting to speak up, and they're like, look, how fair was this to the girls? The NCAA has some guidelines that it's set forth, and there are a lot of coaches, especially, or a lot of people who say, like, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing, except when you drop them into the race here. One of the women, she was a boy running in the Class L meet. Then there's not the Class L meet. There's the in the winter meet. So he was a boy in the winter season, and transitioned to become a girl. And they said there's got to be more there's got to be more discussion about this, because two records fell in one day, and that it's no accident.
To me, there is no right answer. The only wrong answer is that if you don't approach it with sensitivity to everyone,
right,
not just certain athletes, but sensitivity to everyone, are coming in with preconceived ideas. Otherwise, there's so many arguments and so many discussions to be had either way, and it's just one that I've tried to avoid simply because there is no easy conclusion to come to on this.
There isn't, and you talk about sensitivity for everyone. Everyone is not. You can be sensitive, but you're not going to be in agreement. I think we can all agree that nobody will always agree, and therefore you've got a situation in the CIAC. It's disturbing because, from what I understand, at the high school level, once you declare your gender, that's what you must compete at throughout your high school career. So it's unusual, I think, that it was one way in the winter meet and different in the spring meet. The high school level, because you're dealing with minors for the majority, 90% of them are minors, it's different than the NCAA, and things don't have to be as complete physiologically for those that compete when they want to switch gender.
4 people, 5 different opinions, maybe even 6. Anyway, let's move on to another story that I kind of went under the radar a little bit because of when it happened. But Chris, I know you're still scratching your head about Coach Redgate, Leo Redgate, being let go at Fairfield Prep after having pretty much great success for so long.
Coach there for 8 years, won the 2015 state championship, took his team to the state finals 4 other times. This year, lost his entire team, still managed to get 6 wins. His first losing season ever. The guy was like 162-46 in his career, and they fire him. No, I mean, I can understand if there was a reason that the prep came out and said we want to go in another direction. We thank Leo for his service, but never. Leo had to tweet his own firing on Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, like I said, it still scratches my head at it. And Leo is a prep guy. Yeah. And that's kind of the head scratching
I think he
thing.
was scratching his head too, unless there's something behind the scenes that none of us know about. It was like,
well, and I doubt there is. And Leo took the high road and hasn't really come out and blasted anybody at prep or anything for doing it. But it just boggles my mind that he can win a state title, get his team to 4 other state championships, have 1 losing season, and then he's gone. Gone.
It seems like an epidemic this season, more so than just the prep situation, but just across the state. Where now, I don't know what it was, but we heard so many more stories about coaches getting into trouble or being suspended for reasons we don't quite understand. There's investigations, and no one's talking. And you know, a lot of the rumor mills that go underneath are saying like, well, it was a certain cabal of parents. They're blaming parents for interfering with the coaching process. They're getting in the way with so many things at stake. We've talked about this many times before. We talk about scholarships and all that stuff, and make playing time, and a lot of coaches are getting frustrated. And I think you can see now that many of these coaches don't want to do it anymore. You see a lot of football coaches resigning. They're all mostly just family reasons and things like that. But there were a lot of football coaches.
Frustration.
Yeah, there's a lot of frustration out there, and you got to have a certain mindset to get through it all. And the other thing you don't need is a family. Because, I mean, when you're dealing with families, you have your own family to worry about, you're like, I don't want to deal with all these people if they're not going to be appreciative that I'm giving my time for this. So that's become a big issue. Like we saw it with Sal Folo, the Greenwich rugby coach, Bruce Cunningham, and on and on and on.
Yeah, the rugby thing just happened the other day.
Yeah.
Right? With he just wins the state championship. He's suspended, and nobody really knows why. Apparently, there was some drinking on some trip or something, but what are you going to do?
You're going to suspend the guy because he disciplined somebody? I mean, I don't know the whole story of any of these, and they could all be legitimate, but the trend seems to be kind of going that way. It was like the underlying thing all year in this state, in the sports scene in this state, and it's troubling. And I would like to know more about what is really going on in administrations.
Let's move on to a story that is just about dominance, and that is the Fairfield Prep boys hockey team. Worked their way to a state championship and got very little in the way of challenge along the way.
17th state title, 10th under Matt Sather. This was a team that got to the quarterfinals or the semifinals last year and got beat. Came back with a dozen seniors and 16 team members, and they weren't just favored to win. They were expected to win. They expected to win. I think everybody in the state expected them to win. Yeah. And they didn't disappoint. They did not lose to a Connecticut team. They went 22-2 and lost to, I think, a team from Rhode Island and a team from Massachusetts. And you just look at what they did with goalie Jack McGee and Cole Casal and Joe Mancini and Ryan Eckert and these kids. And it was great to see because the pressure on that team every single game had to be enormous. And they just weathered the storm every time.
Is it a 1 year or short period dominance, or should they be in the CIAC, or should they be taking on a prep schedule?
Well, they're going to lose. Like I said, they're going to lose 12 seniors, okay. So they might come back to earth a little bit next year. But knowing prep, Matt's probably got 6 or 8 guys ready to come in and just reload.
If you're going to do that, you better take East Catholic out of the mix. You better take Notre Dame Fairfield out of the mix. And there are a lot. And considering that, you could say schools of choice, but there are a lot of schools with these co-op teams where you have a bigger pool of kids to pick from. We have so much more to discuss, but they're telling us we got to take a commercial break. So we will. When we come back, we'll talk about what I think was the biggest spectacle in sports, high school sports, all season long. We'll go back to the fall for that right when we come back here on CT Sports Now. I think the biggest spectacle in high school sports this past year was just the game in the snow and a heavy snow. Got Greenwich versus Darien for the Double L State Championship. I think I was standing next to you for most of the game on the sidelines there, and it was uncomfortable, but you were glad to be there.
Yes and no, absolutely, or no and yes. It was uncomfortable, yes, and yes, you were, yes. Anyway, this was one of the oddest games I'd ever been to. I'd been into plenty of snow, and I'd gotten a lot of frostbite. Anyway, this was basically for the number one team in the Game Time CT Top 10 poll, and Darien kind of basically just took it right to him in the snow, and it was for a third straight title. Let's put it out there, which is an amazing feat, especially in Class Double L, especially since they just moved up to Class Double L. And in the 3 years that they've been there, they won the state championship 3 years in a row, and that's tremendous. Greenwich is going to be one of the top teams going into the next year, but on this day it was Darien, and it was odd because not just because of the snow, because of the championship, because Darien got into so much trouble off the field with the incident with the New Canaan kid and the fight and all that stuff, and it really, to a lot of fans out there, and to me, it took a lot away from that third title, and especially their attitudes about how it was us against the world type of thing, and when it was really self-inflicted, and that was always something troubling.
They lost some fans, there's no doubt about it. They lost some fans, and there was a little bit of shine taken off of their championship because what had happened and because of the way Darien
only outside of the community.
Well, Darien's a pretty small community.
It got pretty fervent.
I mean,
they circled the wagons across the board.
They don't believe that they should or really do, but we all.
A lot of fans and myself, I include myself in that, we're a little put off by it, if not.
No, I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people statewide were, without a doubt. All right, so
a great accomplishment.
No, without a doubt, without a doubt. All right, so what did you guys think of first year with Division I, a fifth division, if you will, for high school basketball?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, the CIAC finally got something right in terms of the Division I, where every game was going to be like a battle royale. And for like Notre Dame of Fairfield, it was what? They played Notre Dame of West Haven right off the bat. And then it was, I can't remember, but then it was Bassick, and then it was, Danbury, and finally Sacred Heart, who had beaten them already twice before in the state championship. And they finally had a team with enough experience and a ton of veteran leadership, and they finally beat Sacred Heart to win that, first title in Division I. I thought it was great. Excellent.
I thought it was great. I thought the CIAC, and even before the tournament started, I thought the CIAC went too far in making 5 divisions. I don't think we need 5 champions, despite you have this power division, which is great. I still don't think they got it completely right. What I think is they power rated a bunch of Catholic and private schools into the top division. Well, meanwhile, there are a bunch of struggling double L schools who are like, why do we have to contend with these guys in the first round, no less? Usually they would get something else. Who knows? I still think and that kind of goes to a broader debate about, what should we do to make things equitable, because a lot of people don't like playing against the Catholic schools and the magnet schools in the state tournament. In football this year, what I understand is they're now going to do tournament success going forward, and they put it in this year. And what's going to happen is a team like St. Joseph, which is a choice school, is now going to get boosted up from S to M because of that, their championship, and so will a choice school, Killingly, from M to L.
Right.
And that's
so it's a good point, because some of the choice schools are not necessarily Saint whatever it is, or
right. They have that, and then what they're doing is they're putting a Band-Aid. They're not addressing the full problem, and I think that really needs to happen going forward with the CIAC. These modifiers, these success. I don't think that's the way we need to go in the state.
I like that. All right. Hey, real quickly, we got to talk about what we were talking about Darien before. Darien 76-game win streak, state championship after state championship. The unexpected finally happened. Richfield with a victory over the Blue Wave, the state championship game to break the streak. And a lot of people were calling it boring. I call it a victory for Richfield.
The slow down.
It worked. It worked.
But the interesting thing to me was, and credit Richfield for a great game plan. But going into 5 minutes to go in the game, they're winning 8-2 or 9-2, and then Darien wakes up and says, "Oh, we've got to start double teaming the ball and make some things happen." And they score 5 goals in the span of 2 minutes and make it 9-8. Yeah. Well, why didn't they start doing that at halftime and the start of the third quarter? I mean, why did they wait so long? They probably. I shouldn't say they might not have lost that game.
You got to credit Richfield to some extent.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Of all the 4 champions that Richfield had in the state finals for spring, that's the one that won, which is incredible.
Right?
That was the least manageable. But can I give a quick shout out,
please,
to Roy Cosley, the Richfield coach? Yes. He is an Orange man. He was there for years.
He's not talking about Orange,
Syracuse.
Connecticut. He's talking about Syracuse.
Syracuse Orange man. Syracuse Orange. He played for the great he played for the great Roy Simmons Jr. And he played along some fantastic teams. He won a national championship, and he comes here to and I remember him when we were covering when I was a freshman at Syracuse. He comes here
his biography?
and no, I'm just saying that I'm so as a Syracuse alum, I'm so proud.
And they wear orange.
And they went
Richfield.
Orange too. God bless. Right. That
Guys,
was awesome.
It was terrific having you here reminiscing. We could do this all day. We've got things on our list that we never got to, and maybe at some point.
I'm sorry, I went on about Syracuse.
No, it's good. Let's go. It's Chris, Sean, great having you guys. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more here on CT Sports Now.